Washington County Telecommunications Commission, regular commission meeting to order. We are meeting in Cottage Grove City Council chambers on March 24th, 2022. I'll just do a quick little preamble for tonight. This is our first time back together in person, and we've made an official proclamation here. On March 2nd, 2022, Executive Director Mark Martinez terminated the Commission's August 20th, 2021 order, which had been a declaration and determination that in-person meetings were not practical or prudent because of a health pandemic. The Executive Committee of the South Washington County Telecommunications Commission is in agreement to return to in-person meetings until further notice, beginning at its regular commission meeting tonight, Thursday, March 24th. Consistent with current federal, state, and local guidance and regulations, SWCTC will not require proof of vaccination or recent negative test results to attend commission meetings. Use of masks will be voluntary. So, Mr. Executive Director, will you do a roll call?
Yes, Chair James. Chair James?
Yes. Here, sorry. See, I told you I'd need a little prompt in here.
Commissioner Bloom?
Here.
Commissioner Rom?
Here.
Commissioner Olson?
Here.
Commissioner Downs?
Here.
Commissioner Talby?
Present.
Commissioner Omen?
Here.
And Commissioner Alternate Dede?
Here.
Council Bradley?
I'm here.
Okay. And SWCTC staff, myself, and our technical manager, Lonnie Garland, and content manager, Ann Schweisguth, are in attendance. And tonight's meeting is cablecast by cablecaster Janelle Butte.
All right, thank you. All right, I'd be looking for a motion and a second to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. Moving on, public comment. Seeing no one in the audience from the public. Mr. Executive Director, any notice ahead of time?
No notice.
Okay. Consent agenda. We've all been given an agenda ahead of time, had a chance to look through that. Do I have a motion and a second to accept tonight's consent agenda?
Moved.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, so passes. All right, moving on to the report section. We'll start with my report. Last month, the executive director met with myself and Vice Executive Committee Chair Bloom and I and did his annual performance evaluation. And then we reported out to the executive committee members. So I just wanted to report out the results of that. We had gotten feedback as part of our performance evaluation process from both staff as well as all the commissioners that were willing to provide their feedback. That was super helpful. It provides me a lot of good input. Really appreciate the staff's involvement with that because there's parts of Mark's performance and Mark's responsibilities that we don't see as the commissioners that the staff sees. And so that was super helpful, and we got a lot of good conversation with Mark out of that. We provided feedback to Mark. His overall evaluation was a weighted 3.16 out of 4, which is overall a very good rating. We provided him some particular feedback that we were pleased with. His completion of the staff evaluations, that's something that had been lagging for the organization, and Mark did complete all staff evaluations by the end of 2021. He had shown improved timeliness on the delivery of the packets to us. That was one of the things we had highlighted for him that we wanted to see. And then seeing improvement in the timely invoice processing and financial management. So we were very pleased with those things, and particularly highlighted too our pleasure with the Emmy Award that the commission had received for the water documentary. I thought was a huge accomplishment for all staff and Mark leading that group. So we were very pleased with that. So based on those things, we provided them with 6 major goals. A few of them were really a carryover from last year. And So he'll be working on those things. The things I would highlight that were kind of hanging out there that Mark knows need to be done. The strategic plan, that's getting closer to completion, but we kind of laid that out for him to make sure that that's wrapped up this year. The franchise agreement is hanging out there with Comcast, and that's on track to get done for this year. And then tactically, we know there's some organizational things that need to get done with open position that needs to be filled. The Community Voices Grant Program is a new initiative that we want to see that launch this year, and then the rollout of the closed captioning for city council meetings. So based on all that, Brian and I made a recommendation to the executive committee to award Mark a 3% salary increase for 2022, effective as of 1/1/2022. So I'd be looking for comments or questions. Otherwise, I'd be looking for a motion and a second to approve the awarding of Mark of a 3% performance evaluation. So first, any comments or questions? All right. I'd be looking for a motion and a second.
I'll move to approve, Mr. Chair.
Second, Mr. Chair.
All right. Motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Very good.
Motion carries.
Congratulations, Mark. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good year. All right, moving on. Executive Director report.
Yes, Chair and Commission Directors. This is my March report in front of you. There's a project timeline in the first part of it, giving you an update on capital projects for the year. Some things have been moved down through the quarters. We're still working on, as Rob mentioned, the closed captioning portion of the channel server upgrade. That will start soon. The bid's been awarded to Alpha Video, and they're a premier vendor in building out master control systems. They're the best in Minnesota, so we're excited to work with them. Some improvements at the commission office as well. The conference room technology and cosmetic update is in progress, and our website development is in progress. The Newport City Council Chambers has been pushed back, but that's been expended in 2021, and we have almost all the gear ready to go. It's in storage right now, just waiting for the timeline to unfold. We'll be doing, our technology manager and IT specialist will be doing a lot of city maintenance projects, keeping up on a lot of the technology investments that have happened over the years and its life cycle, making sure everything's running properly. We have our financial audit going on to our work plan for this year, scheduled for April 12th. That's coming up, so you'll receive some information from the auditors regarding that. The franchise renewal, we did volley the ball back into Comcast court back in February with our revised franchise renewal. We have not heard from them as of yet. Strategic plan update. I'll be doing our annual report presentations starting next week at the joint council meeting with Woodbury and Cottage Grove, and then also taking that report to St. Paul Park, Newport. I've met with Great Cloud Island Township at their annual meeting, and so I'm really excited to share that presentation with everyone. Our community engagement for the year, we have an event coming up in April. We'll have a booth at the Woodbury Chamber Expo. Give us a good chance to meet folks from the community and the business sector there, and tell our story and share what we're about and the services we can provide. Diversified revenue, we have ongoing agreements with Renewal and the school district, ISD 833, providing school board meeting coverage. Tonight, the Human Resources will be adding the flexible workplace policy upon your approval, of course. And we also have the financial policies to review tonight as well. These are policies that have not been updated in a long time, and so I'm very pleased that we're about to revise those and update those tonight. Community Voices Grant, we're going to launch that application period on April 1st, next week, next Friday. And so I'm going to segue here just a bit to show you what we've done in building the website for that as we launch the application period it'll be from April 1st to June 1st. And so this is the design of the web page. Discover the Power of Your Voice, Community Voices Grant. It gives an explanation of what it is and the requirements. The applicant must be a resident of our 5 member cities, and the story should have a positive impact in these communities. Must be 21 years old, able to produce and finish the product in a 10-week period, and that mentorship will happen between August and October of this year. We have the application button here, and that'll bring up a Google Doc with the application, where the applicant will add their name and some of their background, and then most importantly the film synopsis here. And the finalists will be chosen right after June 1st. We hope to put a small panel together to review the finalists and invite them to present their project in person, and then award it by mid-July, so that we can hit the ground running at August 1st. So going back to our work plan. I did have a brief meeting with the school district, and I got some great feedback from them. We're looking to expand our partnership with them. I talked with them about creating STEM or STEAM programming for our channel. They came back with a great recommendation for the commission to put together a proposal that the district can share with teachers to start that program. So that's something I'll be working on over the next couple months. Basically, providing a document that is the vision of teacher content and teacher creators building content for our channel that we can have on our cablecast. This will be in addition to high school sports. It'll be more STEM and STEAM related programming. It'll be unique to our cable channel too. It won't be something that we stream on social media. So it's a beneficial add to cable subscribers. The school district has a meeting plan with the athletic directors to get their input on carrying more of the high school sports. And they were really excited about any kind of job skill offerings that the commission can provide. And all that can be shared with the counselors because many of the schools have AV specialists that work at the schools providing the audiovisual setup. So anything we can do over the summer, they're really excited about. So that'll shape up over the next few months. They also had additional feedback that their capacity, they're very busy, at the district, and so their capacity is limited. So it's really going to be something that we're going to have to work directly with key partners within the school district. Let's see. That's about it for the work plan update, my report. I'd like to hand it over now to our content update and our content manager, Ann Schweisguth.
Good evening. Bring this up. All right, in addition to my written report, I have a couple things I want to point out and a couple of videos to show you tonight. We finished the State of the City videos for the City of Cottage Grove and Woodbury. Mayor Bailey did his live from the council chambers. And Mayor Burt actually came into the studio this year, and we did a 26-minute edited version where then she did a live premiere of the video at Central Park to a live audience and then took questions. So that was kind of a neat mix. You can find both those videos on the City of Woodbury or the City of Cottage Grove YouTube pages. And talking about videos, first one up here is called Here Comes the Plow. This actually hasn't been released yet, so don't tell anybody. This was made by producer Brian Schmidt. We came about this because the City of Cottage Grove asked for a video to kind of highlight the hardworking people at Public Works that are clearing our streets. Hopefully we don't need them anymore this year. But they kind of wanted to show the dedication that they have because they really do quite a lot of work. And here's the video.
I pretty much plow everything south of Highway 61. I'll work the main roads first, and then after that, I'll slowly start working into the neighborhoods. I grew up here, I live here, and I take pride in what I do. Typically on a regular snowfall, we can have the roads passable in 8 hours. It's kind of one of those things, that's if you got a smaller snowfall, right? It takes you 2 minutes to shovel your driveway when you got a dusting on the road. That's kind of similar for us. Obviously, when you got 3 feet of snow, it's going to take you longer to shovel your driveway. It's going to take us longer to plow the streets. People assume that Public Works has a day crew and a night crew. The biggest thing the public should know is we have one crew. The same crew you see at night is the same crew you see the next morning. So each dump truck plows 110 miles of road, and we have 13 dump trucks. And we also have 10 cul-de-sac routes that plow over 360 cul-de-sacs. On top of that, we also have 5 guys that do trails and sidewalks. Today they made it sound like the snow is going to end at about 3 or 4, but if the temperatures really drop today, we're going to try and stay late, see if we can get them all scraped, so at least that material's got a chance to work. When we look at the weather forecast, when we see snow coming in, we like to see what the road temps are going to be at, whether it's going to be more of a wet snow, more moisture in the actual snow, or whether it's going to be colder. That determines what type of material we're going to use to treat each storm. We treat the salt in-house to save money for the city. Seeing brown stuff, it is not sand. It is a chemical that we use when the road temperatures dip below 10 degrees. There are days when my wife may not enjoy being married to the weather, but it's something we all signed on. At the end of the day, we do all enjoy working here. We got a good camaraderie here between the group of employees. At the end of the day, too, we need you to help us, and we need to help you. We need to have your trash cans out of the street and your cars in your driveways so we can plow the roads in a safe and effective manner.
So Brian and Lonnie did a great job on that. We also have updated footage of snow plows, which we always appreciate. The next video I want to show you, oh, not that one again. This is a video about a new history exhibit that people can find in Stillwater right now. And the history exhibit's all about Woodbury. And it's it's pretty cool. I'm a big history buff, so this story was really fun for me to watch. But I'll just let the story speak for itself. But producer Elena Myers put this one together.
The partnership with Woodbury Heritage Society came about through the idea of a community corner here at the Heritage Center. And we wanted to involve a lot of area heritage societies and historical societies and allow them to have a place and have a home in the new Heritage Center.
The importance of the exhibit is based on that we want people to appreciate history of how we as a society first started and how we grew and all of the work that has gone before us to get to where we are.
We're really excited to have Woodbury here. They took this idea and just absolutely ran with it. There's many, many artifacts that are here that we are very much enjoying. People are enjoying coming in, learning about Woodbury.
I think the most unique things that we have going on here is the slice of an oak tree that was removed in Woodbury, and then the plow, the loom that we have here, and the history that they all represent. We hope that you stop by and read the things that we have put up here and go to our website and see what we are doing as a historic group.
This exhibit with Woodbury is going to be until September 15th, and we're just excited to have all of these groups in and make them feel like they're a part of it. We want to represent everybody here in Washington County.
That Heritage Center is pretty new. It just started like last year, so check it out. It's kind of neat. Last thing I wanted to mention, and Mark kind of touched on it too, that we'll be at the Woodbury Community Expo on Saturday, April 2nd, which is next Saturday from 10 to 4. It's at East Ridge High School. We actually got a double booth this year, which is the first time we've been doing this, but we're going to set up a studio, a makeshift studio with lights and cameras and, you know, all the fun things that look cool so that people can see our gear, and then also they can kind of interact with us on a green screen. So we thought that would be kind of fun, especially for the kids. So we'll be having some new retractable banners that we purchased that'll give people an idea of who we are and where they can find us. And we'll also be promoting that Community Voices grant. And we're also, if there's a business who's at the expo who approaches us and says, hey, do you guys make videos? Well, of course we do. And here's some information on that. So we'll also be plugging our services. And that is my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, Ann, are you set up for the Cottage Grove Chamber of Commerce?
We talked about that, and since they're both in the same month, we thought we would go every other year, so our staff wasn't too taxed. So next year, we'll be at the Cottage Grove Business Showcase.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions? Great, thank you.
Thanks, Ann.
Thanks, Ann. And now technical update with Lonnie Garland.
Evening, everyone. Ann's always hard to follow. She has the cool PowerPoints. I do not have the cool PowerPoints. I do have a PowerPoint, though, which is new for me. So some exciting things. I love talking about this stuff. We have all kinds of exciting things happening at the office. As Mark mentioned, we're getting a new playback system, and that should allow us to do closed captioning for city meetings. If I've done everything right and have my homework right, we should be able to do closed captioning on a couple other things, too, just not city meetings. So May 2nd, I just got a call today and confirmed that May 2nd, the system will be installed. So the week of May 2nd through the 6th, we might be on and off a little bit, depending on how the system, you know, how long it takes them to get everything put in place. But that should be the install date. Let me bring my computer over here. I'll just bring it closer so I don't have to reach. Let's start out. Central Fire Station in Cottage Grove. We just finished. This is an update to the training room that was already there. They needed some more functionality. There was no web video conferencing there, so they couldn't bring outside training in. They couldn't have somebody there and then train remotely, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So we installed 2 monitors in the back. They're 75-inch monitors. And we also installed 2 huddle cameras, which are self-tracking cameras. Woodbury has this at their public safety. So basically, once you walk in the room, it tracks you, and it kind of freaks some people out because it's always on. Even if the system's not on, the camera still moves. So you got to get used to that. But they're very, very good at tracking someone. It'll follow them around the room no matter where they go. And high def cameras, they look really, really good. The little device you see, that is actually a speaker in the room, the little round puck with the green halo around it. That is actually a new microphone, excuse me, not a speaker, a microphone. And there's 8 of those in this room. So if there's a big contingency of people in the room, you don't have to put microphones in front of everybody. Whenever they talk, these microphones pick them up. Very good mics. I was amazed at the sound quality of these things. This is an update at our office. This is our new firewall and our 10 gig switch. And we actually have 10 gig at each computer now, so we can play video right from the rack if you really wanted to. You don't have to transfer files. It just hit play and it'll play the video right off our server. Damon, our new IT specialist, did all this. Fantastic job. Worked with WatchGuard to do the install. Super company, I think you and Brian and Rob recommended them. Fantastic group, helped us out a ton. And he's tweaking it, it's like anything, you install it and it's like, oh, that doesn't work. So you have to go back and fix it. So he's done a great job. Dave's done a great job on that. As Ann was mentioning, we're doing the expo, and to do the green screen and everything, we have this little device. The box on the right is a system called vMix, and it's actually a little video production switcher that I actually have on this laptop. And the device on the left is a bird dog, and it actually converts our video to NDI, which we can then send over a network and basically control 3-4 cameras over a network switch. Which is very, very cool. It's going to give us some remote possibilities. We're going to use this for the Memorial Day celebrations coming up. We're actually going to do both of them live. We'll do the one in Woodbury, and then we'll do the one here, and they'll both be live. And we'll actually use this system in Woodbury. We're going to do it different here because we're close and we can run cables. But in Woodbury, we have the distance, so we're going to use this system to do that as a live event. We'll record it, we'll play those events all day long then. So that day will be full of festivities. And I think that one. And then this is our playback. This is the new device that will go in our rack. There'll actually be 2 of these, and it's basically, it doesn't look like much, but it holds 10 terabytes of storage and plays all of our shows back on our channels. So, and it also does closed captioning. It'll also do video on demand and allows to be on Roku and Apple TV. That's all I have. Questions? Fire away. No? All right, guys, thanks. Have a good night.
Oh, yeah, I had a question on closed captioning.
Yeah.
So with the new closed captioning capabilities, will that work on the cable channel as well as the streaming?
Yes. And what happens is it'll create a sidecar file that we can use. And so, yeah, we can do that on both. So now, I want to be clear, it won't be ADA compliant unless we train it to do all those things, learn words and do all that stuff and babysit it for about 5 months. And then it might be close. But right now, using tightrope system, it's right at 90% is what they're saying. So that's a trade-off between live and AI. So
I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that part.
that's okay. You didn't hear that part. But just so you know, it's not going to be 100%. No, there's nothing right now that's 100%.
Right.
So, yes.
You mentioned Roku, and I'm wondering if this gives people that aren't necessarily cable subscribers access to our content through a streaming service.
It would, yes. Yeah, it would be video on demand. Basically, they could scroll through a series of shows that we have on that server.
And when will that be active?
Well, my fingers crossed, end of May. If they install the system in the first week of May, hopefully by the end of May, we can have all this lined out and working properly. So,
It's a tightrope system, right?
yes, it's a tightrope. And like Mark was saying, Alpha Video, super knowledgeable about all this, work closely. Matter of fact, Ian Cobb, who used to help us on the side, is actually working for Alpha. He knows our system very well. He's actually helping do this job, so we shouldn't have, I must say this now, but we shouldn't have too much trouble. So there'll be some hiccups here and there. Some learning, there's gonna be a learning process for staff to learn the video on demand and how the streaming services work and all that. The other thing this will allow us to do is if a sports event is happening with another PEG system and they're sending us like a YouTube feed, we can actually take that live. I don't have to, this system will read that RTPM feed and I can just stream it. So that gives us some flexibility there too. I don't have to wait for the show to become, a file and then do it. I can do it hopefully live too. So some flexibility in that end too.
It's nice. If you're a Roku, if any of you have Rokus, you just go into the apps, and Tightrope has its own app. And within that app, you can find SWCTC.
And we paid the fee to have it branded, so we'll have our logo on it. So when you do that app, you'll see our name right on that.
And it's
So,
slick. You just go right there and you can see everything. And there's a number of access channels in the metro area
yeah,
that are set up
there's
that way.
several of them doing it
And
now.
some you can watch live, so maybe it'll be that way here too
It's just more
eventually.
money.
Yeah, but it's nice.
Let's start baby steps. Any other questions? Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Lonnie. All right.
Lonnie, I just want to add that Tightrope is a Minnesota-based company too. So we're buying local, supporting a local Minneapolis company. Just want to add that there.
Good. All right. Good updates. Thank you. Treasurer's report.
Yes.
Highlight there.
Yes.
Click right here.
Oh, okay, thank you.
There you go.
Thank you, Chair and Commission Directors. One final look here at our actual for 2021. Just wanted to briefly review this. Revenue was exceeded expectations for the year. We also, at the top of the P&L here, we have the $81,410 that was part of the franchise fee audit settlement. We did have $13,769 in outside service income. Our CenturyLink PEG fees were $8.19 as the contract concluded there in the early part of last year, bringing our total income to $1,805,889.85. Our expenses were lower than expected as well. Capital expenses here topped out at $509,634.67. You'll see the Newport expenditure for the new council chamber there at $199,590.23. And total expenses at $1,495,022.40, bringing our net ordinary income to $310,867.45. And then with interest income, we have a return back to the cities at $311,057.83. Any questions on the 2021 actuals? Okay.
Okay, very good. Moving on to legal. Mr. Bradley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good evening, members. It's good to see all of you in person again. My legal report is in the packet, pages 16 through 22 of the packet. I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. First is the City of Eugene case. That case is the case that we participated in. It went to the United States Supreme Court. The United States Supreme Court, at the end of February, decided they would not hear that case. So that ended the litigation of the City of Eugene matter. I put in the legal report a summary of that, but also the kind of the plain English summary too, so you could see just kind of, for those of you that just wanted a summary so you could report back to your cities, that would be a way that you could do that. And it also shows really the benefit of your participation. So thank you for participating. You benefited all of your member cities, and then you benefited cities in Minnesota and throughout the country as well with your participation. There was a mention of future advocacy related to that appeal. And one of the things mentioned in the report was the Protecting Community Television Act that's been introduced in Congress. It's HR 6219 and Senate File 3361. And what that legislation would do would be to nullify the franchise fee part of the FCC's ruling. And the reason I raise that is at the very end of my legal report, there's two documents. One was created by the Alliance for Community Media, and it's a summary of what the Protecting Community Television Act would do. And then following that is a draft letter that NATOA put together for local governments to consider drafting to support that legislation with your U.S. Senator, your representatives, or it could be for the entire delegation. So if that's something that this body is interested in doing, you could direct Mark and myself to go ahead and prepare that letter and be sent out. You could also use it at your own member cities if you so desired. Just a couple other things then. We're still waiting for that fifth FCC commissioner to be confirmed. Gigi Sohn is the nominated commissioner, and she just got moved out of committee on a 14-14 vote, so it wasn't overwhelming support. And I haven't heard, what the next step is for her, but hopefully for the FCC's sake, they get a fifth commissioner here pretty soon. And then finally, renewal, as Mark mentioned in his report, we did submit an updated document to Comcast towards the end of February. We haven't heard back yet from Comcast on that, so we'll sit tight. We'll probably follow up with them in a week or so and just see where they're at and try to keep that thing going. And with that, that's my report, and I'm happy to take any of your questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Very good, thank you. All right. Unfinished business. First item is 7A in your agenda packet, which is the revised net income return to the cities that Mark kind of covered as part of his financial review, treasurer's report. So there's an action at the end of that we need to act on, which is the executive committee has recommended the approval of the net income return based on the $311,057.83 overage that we had for 2021. So if there's any discussion about that, we could do that now. Otherwise, I'd be looking for a motion in a second to approve this action.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we pass the executive committee's recommendation.
I'll second it.
Okay. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, that is passed. All right. So Mark mentioned about the financial policies audit, or the policies that we need, that have been kind of audited. So Mark, do you want to step through kind of the highlights of each of them?
Sure.
What's changed on the four financial policies that we're adopting and the one that we're repealing?
Yes. 5 financial policies in front of you, commissioners. I'll step through the administrative spending policy first here. All the policies have been formatted to our policy format and edited or updated. This particular policy revised the authorized spending limit for the executive director, increased it from $5,000 to $25,000 without obtaining permission from the executive committee. Anything over that, any purchase that exceeds $25,000, the executive director shall obtain permission of the majority of the executive committee members, not to exceed $50,000. A purchase over $50,000 is, if a purchase over $50,000 is required, an emergency executive committee meeting shall be called. Moving on to credit card policy. Most of this originally adopted in 2010, most of it stayed the same. There were some questions as we looked at it about how the points are being used for these credit cards. And so we clarified that points earned on all credit card accounts shall be utilized for the benefit of the commission. Points may be utilized for travel expenditures, technology purchases, or as cash back to the commission. We also clarified employees to whom credit cards are issued must receive approval from the executive director for purchases over $5,000. I also added a look at what the credit card points look like right now. Just as an example, what Chase offers for travel, cash back, gift cards, dining, technology. We are excluding dining and gift cards. We're not including that as the commission being able to utilize points towards. We just felt that that was a little bit out of our scope, our mission, and so we've limited it to what was mentioned before, travel, technology, or cash back to the commission. Moving on to legal counsel policy. There was questions about how this policy came to be back in 2004. And we felt that, or the executive committee and myself felt that there was little need for it. I checked with the City of Woodbury's assistant city manager for recommendations on legal policies, and the recommendation was that there were legal portions of legal policy within a number of the city's policies, but not a specific legal policy. And I even counseled with our attorney about it, and his recommendation was that the commission should look at repealing this policy. And so the executive committee is recommending to the full commission the repeal of the legal counsel policy. Moving on to meeting compensation. Adopted in '05, we looked at increasing meeting compensation for commission directors. That was voted down. So the per diem remains at $50 for each meeting, full commission meeting or executive committee meeting, regardless if they're on the executive committee or not, and special or committee meetings outside of the annual meeting schedule. At last month's meeting, the commission or the executive committee gave me direction to move the per diem to direct deposit, and that would be required for all commission directors to receive payment to complete a direct deposit form to receive their per diem. Commission directors may choose to not receive meeting compensation if they so choose as well. I did include a direct deposit form, so I would need, in the future, after tonight's meeting, going forward, I will need a form filled out by each director with a voided check, account information, and then authorized signature and social security number instead of the employee ID. And then we'll be able to get that into our QuickBooks. And this is one part of many more automated, streamlined functions that I'd like to incorporate in our administrative work, just for efficiencies and moving away from paper. Finally, the financial reserve policy, first adopted in 2017, stated how we plan to return money back to the cities. I've highlighted here the elements of the policy. The first element is an operating reserve equal to 6 months of the immediate upcoming year's operating budget. The second element is a capital reserve equal to a 3-year average of the capital spending. The reserve level is equal to the sum of these two elements. And what we've added to this policy is in red here, some clarifications about how we're going to proceed with this. At the end of the fiscal year, any net income surplus will use the ROV return procedure agreed to by the Commission at the February 27th, 2020 regular Commission meeting when the board approved the 2019 return to cities distribution. Deficits in the reserve level will be leveled to policy by scaling back capital spending. The deadline for revenue and expenses to be considered as part of the actuals reporting for the reserve policy shall be the date of the February Executive Committee meeting, which is what we're looking at this evening. And then we eliminated the exceptions and changes provision because the Commission always has the right to change the policy or provision, so it was redundant to state it. And that's the review of the financial policies. So the Executive Committee and myself are asking for 2 action items this evening. The first action item is the approval of the financial policy updates. Apologize, let me see if I can. 24, 25.
I do have a question on the direct deposit policy. We get a chance to do that, so I do have some questions there.
That's appropriate now?
Probably now?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, if you scroll back to that policy, please. Couple things. When will you put this in effect? Could we like put it in effect like May 1st or something like that? Just like 30 days or something like that before we put the thing in effect. That's one question. And also to the social security numbers, making sure that again we have proper ways of storing that information. Since that's really, right now I don't give my social security number out to anyone unless it's really required by law for a lot of reasons. And so I just want to make sure that if you take social security numbers, you have an entire way of locking that safe up, making sure that no one can get to it. And because all of a sudden now we have a little bit of liability when we start collecting that information. So make sure that we don't give that out, it doesn't fall in the wrong hands. So make sure that when you ask for that, it's actually needed to do the direct deposits. I think you'll find that the routing number and that is all you really need. So that's my question there.
I did question that too, about the giving out social security number. If that
It's
was,
just the day that we live in now because of how
Right.
cybersecurity is and that kind of stuff. And once they get that information out there,
Yeah.
it's gone.
Right.
You know.
That information was taken on advice from our bookkeeper, who advised me to get that information
Okay.
to be able to do this. But I
Then
understand what you're
was
saying.
I was going to say, do we have the controls in there to safeguard it?
Right.
Okay. And as a committee member, I haven't seen the controls yet to make sure that we control that information. So I can't in good conscience approve that a policy because of that. So.
Understood.
Mark, is the reason for the collection of the social security number because the commission will give a 1099 or something like that to the commission directors that receive the...
Part of it, and the formality of the QuickBooks platform.
that's what's interesting, because the QuickBooks, this doesn't need to be a part of the policy, because you could change at any point in time, and the policy would still stand, right? I mean, this is just the formality of how we do the direct deposit, right?
Correct.
So So Tracy, do you, you don't object to the policy?
I don't think the policy, I think the policy is fine.
Yeah,
But
it's
the problem is, in
it's the
implementing the
process.
policy, we're not clear about why we're requesting the information and what we're gonna do with information. And there's a lot more laws that are coming on the European Union has a lot more, I mean, I'm in IT and you're in IT. They have a lot more laws that govern this stuff.
Yeah.
And we're quietly behind this stuff. But this is coming here too. And so we might as well start, if we're gonna require certain types of information, we have to understand exactly why we're requiring it and how we're going to safeguard it. And if someone wants to change it or delete it, whatever, that they have the right to inspect what information you have and the ability to delete it or change it if it's not correct. And so my thing is, I don't know if the policy has all those elements in it yet because of that.
Because of that?
Yeah, good.
Just a question, and we haven't had the social security numbers there in the past, right? And as you said, I don't think it's necessarily required
Just
from
staff.
the bank to have the social security number. You might check on that.
Okay.
And so maybe at this point, we don't require the social security number and then essentially it just be doing it the same we have in the past, except for not physically sending out a check. Were there other tax implications? How did you handle the tax
Well,
implications before?
we're
It was everybody's responsibility to claim that money, right?
Right, and per diem is typically not taxed unless it exceeds $600 for the year.
Right.
And so we've had that limit in per diem in the paper, so there hasn't been any 1099, as Mike mentioned, required in the past, but moving to this automated direct deposit, QuickBooks will ask for that information, either a vendor, a business ID, or a personal.
Well, couldn't you give us an employee ID?
I can look into that, yeah. I can look into that.
Consider us an extension of your staff, and I don't care what number you give me, to be honest.
The bookkeeper advised to not do that.
There's always number one.
Really?
The
Okay.
bookkeeper advised not do that, but I left it at that and didn't really look for an
The
explanation.
good thing about those, a non-unique number like the social security number is if it gets out of the, no one cares about it. It's useless. The social security number has unlocks a lot of doors in our society now. And that's why you've got to really, put a lot of brakes around it and,
Sure.
and protect it, so.
Yes.
And I just want to, again, I'm not having a problem giving my social security number as long as I know we've got the controls in place to protect it, information.
Yeah.
Chair and Mark, one thing that we could perhaps do is contact the League of Minnesota Cities to make sure that, whatever direction we're going, we are safeguarding that information the appropriate way, and we're not collecting information that we don't need to collect.
Mr.
So-
Chair, if I may piggyback on that comment, I was going to actually ask the question, if we've had legal counsel review all of this, number one, and number two, if we have looked at things through the league statutorily to ensure that we're in alignment with, any other bodies of a similar nature. And I guess I'd rather measure twice and cut once. So perhaps this would be something to bring to the next full meeting of the commission if we can, after those reviews have taken place and any adjustments. Have you had a chance to go through all of the policy changes?
Well, really, the only policy I was asked to specifically look at was the legal policy, which is pretty simple policy.
Cut and dried, yeah.
So I have no problem but repealing that one tonight if you wish. But other than the policies have been in the packet, I'll admit that, but I have not gone through because I wasn't asked to look at those policies.
And I might have a hangover from last night because we spent about 4 hours in the training room going through city code and all the various changes we're going to implement as we update our city code. And one of the things that was crystal clear is as the world evolves, legality evolves, and you need to really stay on top of it and do a better job than we've done of updating all of our code, on a 20-year basis. Maybe you do every 5 or something, but I would certainly feel better if the attorney and the league had gone through all these policies before we chose to vote. That's my personal opinion.
if we're done, then I've got some questions about the credit card. Are we done with the, are we okay to move on?
They're all financial policies, so I think we're just talking about all of them at this point.
Okay, well,
so, yeah.
as long as that topic is done, so on the credit card, could you scroll to that section? Just a couple of questions. So, yeah, go down a little bit, I think. Down to your, like where the yellow section is. So, yeah, on 13, I have a question, which is, for purchases over $5,000. So, I mean, if I'm a nefarious character, could I just charge $4,000 a day every day for 30 days? And so what I'm wondering is does that policy, does number 13 to be fleshed out a little bit, which is it $5,000 in a purchase, or is there going to be, like, say, in a 30-day or in a calendar month or a rolling 30 days, if you spend more than X number of dollars, you need to get permission? So again, if I was a nefarious person, I could say, well, as long as I'm not spending more than $5,000, I could spend $4,999 every day in perpetuity and never need permission. So I don't know if there should be some sort of, like, it's not just more than $5,000 per time, but maybe we don't want you spending more than a certain amount of money, either in a calendar month or a rolling 30. And second to that is, do we need to have a policy that says that staff wouldn't be issued a card that would have a credit that would exceed X number of dollars, right? So that, we don't want to just hand them a blank check.
Right.
So again, maybe there might be some other things that could be added to 13 that might be useful or might kind of protect us from, again, a nefarious actor.
It's a great recommendation, yep. Well, we work within our budget, and the expenditures are reviewed monthly. Currently, other than myself, Lonnie and Ann have credit cards, and the communication's been stellar, But I hear what you're saying, going forward, if this is a policy that's going to be around for the 10, 20 years, yes, we definitely should add more to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm getting the sense that there is no urgency to the changes that we're trying to make with this. So it isn't like
deadline.
if we don't approve this tonight that there's any heartache for anything out there, so.
We're happy to do more work on it.
Are you comfortable with an action to repeal the legal policy as recommended by our council?
That one seems to be a no-brainer. And then we hold off on the other four for further review with legal and discussion maybe about the procedural aspect of the per diem one to come into play with Tracy's points, so.
Which is an excellent point.
Yep.
So I'll move that we repeal the legal policy.
I'll second that.
All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, so that's been repealed, and
Thank you.
further work to be done on the four financial, and we can even review again at the executive committee meeting if there's any more updates that you might have before that then, so. All right, good?
Yeah.
Yep. Then, non-financial policies, we've got a new flexible workplace policy. Mark, do you want to cover that?
Yes, Chair. This policy has been reviewed a few times. It started with the HR committee, and the HR committee recommended the approval of the policy to the executive committee. At the first executive committee review, there was some changes that were recommended. We pulled back on, it's almost entirely intact. The areas that were more clearly defined were in the form section, the last 3 pages. We had, for the remote work arrangement, we had originally up to 5 days of remote work, and this was because we were anticipating, as part of our growth over the next 2 or 3 years, that and we have limited office space at our current location, and that in conjunction with a new role that would be more field-centric role and not really editing in a suite at the office, that was the thinking about this person could work remotely all week. But the recommendation from the executive committee was to pull that back. So we've pulled it back to 3 days per week at the most, so that they're checking in to the office at least twice a week. We don't currently have somebody with this work arrangement. I also received feedback about that the length of the policy was pretty long, and that maybe it could be cut down a bit. And after reviewing it, what I really found was that it's very clear. I really liked it. We used the template of Woodbury's flexible work policy. I really liked it because it really clarifies not only for the employee, but also for the potential manager on how to put this policy in place. It's very clear. And so I left all the verbiage in there. And so I'm asking, and the executive committee is recommending the approval of the flexible work policy.
Any comments or questions on the new flexible workplace policy?
Here again, Mr. Chair, I just am curious if it's undergone the rigorous inspection of our attorney and/or the League of Minnesota Cities. And if not, then I would recommend this be included in the packet for review and then brought back, simply because, I mean, sometimes it's a matter of where a word might sit in a sentence that can cause significant disruption in any kind of policy. And for me personally, I would just feel better if we had an attorney or the league or both give us their okay.
Which we're asking to do for the 4 financial policies, so. Do we believe that, do we need to make any recommendation to that, or is that just something, executive director, that you can, just
You can
authorize?
direct me to take care of that.
Okay, but we don't need a formal action to have you do that then? Okay. All right. So I'm hearing, and I guess I'm just checking in with folks, everyone good with that? Of taking time out just to do one for final review with legal, kind of with this? And then bring it back to the full commission 2 months from now then?
Yes.
Okay,
Sounds good.
all right.
Do we have anybody that's eager or anticipating, having this policy put in place that they wanted to use it?
Yes.
So
There's a delay for them.
Yep.
is that gonna create an unnecessary or undue hardship?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We want to balance us wanting to do our job versus your employees doing their job.
I appreciate that. Yep. Oh, we have that latitude, that flexibility, the understanding. We have that. Yeah.
So, but we should all come prepared at the next meeting that we need to be voting on this to make it either it's up or down, and it needs to happen or not happen, so that we get clarity to you and your staff.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So no further action needs to be taken tonight for the unfinished business then. All right.
Okay.
New business, 8A, the reserve level. Mark, you wanna-
Yes. In reviewing the reserve policy, we took a look at the current reserve, and which is on page 48. And again, that the two elements are written out here in the spreadsheet. The two elements of the reserve level is an average of 3 years of the capital spending which is the $571.98. And 6 months operating of the current budget expenses. And so our current budgeted expenses for this year is $1,613,599. I subtracted out the capital portion of those expenses to find the operating total at $1,113,599. Divide that in half, being the 6-month provision. Totaling those brings our reserve level to $1,079,371.48. Our current reserve fund balance as of today is $1,363,663.16. Subtracting out the appropriate level leaves a return of $284,291.68. And so the executive committee is recommending, after looking at this policy for quite some time, leveling out the reserve in a 2/3, 1/3 portion distribution, similar to the income return. And so the City of Woodbury would receive $189,527.78, and Cottage Grove would receive $94,763.89 with your approval.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? And if not, I'd be looking for a motion and a second on this.
Motion to approve?
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It has passed. All right. Very good. Section 9, commission comments or requests. Anything open to any of you commissioners? Any questions or comments for anyone? Okay.
I was just gonna talk to Lonnie afterwards, if that's fine.
Okay, all right, good. Yeah, how are things in Gray Cloud with,
Good, we're, that's my, yeah, there we go. We're gonna just kind of pass and we can use that money for roads and stuff for right now. So we're gonna try a couple different options for other things, so
okay,
we'll see what comes of it.
all right. Well, we are negotiating things in the Comcast agreement as well to try and help as well, so,
Good, yeah,
yeah,
yep.
okay, good. Well, I'd be looking for a motion and second to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.